Gonna do 3, 2, 1. We are live. All right. So we have changed things up just a little bit. We're starting at 9 p.m. today. We're going to be talking about two things. We're going to be talking about Section 31, and we are also going to be talking about Prodigy. All right. So Section 31 is going to start us off. As we begin, before we begin, real quick, Marie, William, introduce yourselves to everyone.
Hi, I'm Marie Brownhill. I work with FTP and LGB Trek here on Trekker's Delight, and you can find me at Game Industry News, where I write the Unimatrix 47 blog.
Hi, my name is William Wofford. I am here. I'm the videographer for Trekker's Delight. Well, if you want to find me, you got to subscribe to our channel. That's the only way you can reach me. That's the only way. See what I did there?
Yeah. Excellent plug. I love
I
it.
do.
This
is starting to turn into a dating service.
I've learned a lot from Robin.
Well, yeah. Okay. All right. So tonight on Section 31, we're dealing with Discovery's Season 2, Episode 3, Point of Light. By the way, that particular episode was written by Andrew Colville and directed by Ola Tunde. Can't pronounce his last name. But that is significant because he has actually directed several episodes of Star Trek, especially Star Trek Discovery. And so he is, for lack of a better word, he's kind of steering the ship as it relates to directing. But in this particular episode, there are three storylines. I would be remiss if we description. Okay. I would be remiss if we didn't talk about those storylines as quick as possible. First one, Tilly has been hijacked by a multidimensional fungi. This is also the first time the crew learns, at least potentially, that the spores are unhappy with Stamets. The second storyline involves Spock. Remember, at this point, Starfleet is keeping Spock hidden and away from everyone, saying that he's showing signs of psychopathy. Amanda finds her way onto Discovery and delivers stolen files to Michael so she can basically hack into them and access them. But the storyline that kind of takes everything away is the storyline that deals with the Klingons. Voke, or Ash Tyler, contacts Michael trying to alert the Federation of potential plots to assassinate L'Rell, thus ending Klingon peace with the Federation. So, in preparation for tonight's episode, I sent William and Marie basically a short video. It's a bonus episode for Discovery, and it is basically the first time that Discovery talks about Section 31, and in it, yes, some great reveals. Yeah, some great reveals. First of all, let's talk about where Georgiou is. Like, I just love the fact that she was in a bar. Like, she was living her best life, right? The kind of life that I really need to live. I don't know about you.
That woman has the most amazing ability to just like walk in and dominate every situation. Like, nobody necessarily even knows, but like, she is going to rock it. Like, do you remember the Orions?
Which episode? What are we talking about?
So this would have been the last episode. This would have been one of the last episodes. It was a season finale, and there was the bomb involved and blah blah blah, and then like. Yeah. And then Georgiou and Tilly are on this planet, and like Tilly's trying to negotiate what gets really high with an Orion, who also happened to be, by the way, fun fact, the guy that played that particular Orion was also the baby in the Corbomite maneuver. That was his first role back in TOS.
All right.
Fun fact. So Tilly gets high, and Georgiou is just like, I like you. And I like you. We're going to go over there. And I sort of felt like the same sort of vibe going on in that video.
I remember you saying Tilly was your spirit animal.
I try really hard not to use that term. I really do, because that is reserved to
I get it.
Cultures, and I am not indigenous. Look at my pastiness. I mean, I'm kind of semi-reflective at this point, so you can't really not.
Silliness. Okay, so she's there. She's living her best life, and then in walks in the man, the man of mystery, right? Man of mystery. He walks up to her and is basically just telling her everything that he feels like telling her, like boom, 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 and here you go. You're part of Section 31. Doesn't really matter what you think, what you feel, right?
I have to admit,
And
like at first when that started happening, I was just like, this is the world's worst pickup, and I'm really looking forward to her ripping out his guts and hanging him with him.
and
I've already gotten the look, we are 5 minutes and 52 seconds in, and I got the disapproving Jermaine face.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It literally was not. It literally was not. It was more. It was more so. Okay, that didn't happen. So then, what did you think?
I mean, I really think Section 31 is a great place for Georgiou, because even though this short takes place before we get that tremendous arc, I think that culminates with the Guardian of Forever in season 3. It's such a great place because Georgiou herself, one, we've seen has the capacity to make good choices, and we've seen her moral compass shift. Like that great sort of the two-parter that's the flashback when she goes back to the mirror universe really demonstrates just how far she has come.
Mhm.
So I think she would be a really great person for Section 31 because she does have that capability of making moral choices. But also she's shady.
Mm.
And she is more than willing to do anything if it makes sense to her.
Well, thinking about being shady and thinking about doing anything that makes sense to her. All right, so let's fast track just a little bit. So into this particular episode, right? So what's going on is eventually what happens is they have kidnapped Laurel's and Ash Tyler's baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
They meaning the Klingons. They've kidnapped the baby, and so basically, she goes to their house. I keep saying she, but she and Ash go to their house basically to get their baby back. But nah, that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is they're going to fight to the death, right? And then,
and my money is always on Georgiou.
It's always on Georgiou. But let me ask you a question: did you even think that was going to happen?
No,
you didn't think that was okay. So when this person just emerges, right, just materializes, right, and then the first thing that she does is she puts this person in this. What is it? Like, what is that? Have we ever seen this before?
No. I've got to think that this is maybe like I don't think she brought over necessarily a whole lot from the mirror universe, but like she's clearly intelligent enough, to use the blink thing on the holograms, at Starfleet headquarters. So clearly she's got an idea, like an understanding of how things work and programming works and assembly works. So it would not surprise me if that was just like something she did, like that she was like, I need this. I can't have an agonizer booth, no matter how much I would want one, but I can do this. And and given the trade-off, guys, agonizer booth bad.
Yeah.
This okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like in stasis, right? Because we didn't really see him move. Did we see him move? Did we see him cry out? Did we see like we didn't see
I'm not even sure he was breathing, y'all. Like I'm really not.
I don't think so either.
Out cold.
So, but what was the staff thing that she used, right? Because she basically it wasn't her. It was the Klingon. The Klingon kind of
Klingon. Yeah. The staff thing that came out of nowhere. I'm just sitting here like, are you trying, or were you like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? We have Jintok spears. We know that. Right? Mm-hmm. Then we have Batleths, and we have Mechleths, and we have Ducktags, and my Klingon is terrible. I know somebody is going to make a comment to that. to that effect in the comments.
We
I
hope someone
know.
makes a comment. We hope they do, please. So Marie will come for you in the next episode like she did last time.
That is not what I did. That is not what I did. I was
I
inviting.
mean, you did it in a very polite, 7 of 9-esque way, like.
Oh,
I'm going to take that as a compliment
You
because,
should.
yeah, I like 7 of 9. We're just going to ignore whatever possible other implication is there. So I don't know where that stuff came from. Like, I mean, I will also freely admit that I am not Klingon obsessed.
okay.
Like, I mean, because there are a number of people, a number of Trek fans who really are. Like, I was always on the Vulcan side of that. Perhaps that was a bad life choice. Because I think the Klingons have more fun.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so like maybe that's something we saw and I've never seen it before, but like for me it came out of nowhere. And I really sort of think that what they were doing is they were just trying to throw stuff out so that Michelle Yeoh could demonstrate like her amazing Michelle Yeoh-ness.
I'm here for it. I mean, not to kind of on subject, but kind of not.
That should be your middle name, my friend.
I know.
Beginning tangent.
I know, but here's the thing. My middle name is Wesley, so it's like perfect. I know.
I'm gonna knit you that sweater, my friend.
Thank you. I get the William and the Wesley. So I'm here for this. My children will have Trek names. I thank my mom every day. So
Mine did. Mine do.
Yes,
Mine have Trek names.
I told a lot of people.
My husband is still grumpy about this.
I hope he is. Well, when Jermaine said about how much he loves Empress Georgiou.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I've heard the intellect, I've heard the conversation, I've heard the Section 31, I've heard the fight with the fights and the backlit and all that Klingon shit. The only thing that I could think about that I know Jermaine was thinking about was that moment where she called Wilson Cruz Poppy. And he said, "Excuse me?"
Wait, but that didn't happen yet.
Oh, no. It happened in the mirror universe, and that's all that matters. Because here's my thing. I'm cool. I'm okay.
I still don't understand why Wilson Cruz was not like, yes. Come on.
I mean,
we're gonna go have a party.
The typical gay thing. It's just like you act like you want someone. No. In deep down, you want someone, but on the outside, you act like you don't give a shit. So he didn't. Excuse me. Like I know I'm a badass, but ew. Thank you.
I am convinced that Emperor Georgiou is its own slot on the sexuality continuum.
Has to freaking be.
And there it is. I got it. That's 2.
What?
It's 2. It's not even 15 minutes in.
What? Wait, that was not disapproving.
No. Man, you have subconscious disapproval faces. You do.
I wasn't even disapproving. Like I was just about to say, I think Georgiou is just very comfortable with who and what she is.
That's so professional of you.
No, not like that's exactly how I feel. Like I think that she's comfortable with who and what she is. I think the mirror universe is very comfortable with sexuality in general. Remember, like they're the opposite of who we are. We are repressed sexually. Bottom line, they're not.
I do find that interesting, and I really like that as kind of a point. Because even though we think of Star Trek as being, far flung in the future, theoretically they've gotten over a number of our hangups, but they haven't really, which I find really interesting. So you have the raw sexuality of Intendant Kira, and I know Robin is somewhere just being like, yes. And that's very much a part of her character, and that's not something that you're going to see like in a regular Deep Space Nine episode,
right?
With the exception of Rejoined, which, yeah, that's its own existence. It's awesome. Let's just let it go.
In the mirror universe, they I forgot what is his name. My favorite Discovery character with the glasses, looking like the old man from Toy Story. Like what's his name? The smart ass one. The one with glasses.
You mean like the creepy dude, the
one that always wears a suit for some reason?
Like Cronenberg? Kovich.
Him.
Oh,
When he and Georgiou had the conversation, he specifically mentioned that in the mirror universe, humans did things just because they wanted to, just because.
mhm.
Whereas on this side, there's been a lot of oppression and repression and suppression.
Restrained.
A lot of that, even in the 24th century.
Mhm.
Now it
I'm
has
not really comfortable with what that's saying, though. I'm not really comfortable with the idea that like a completely free human being is going to be off like narking other civilizations and
well, I meant like in terms of sexuality.
and even then, I think that's an interesting conversation because like the mirror universe tends to conflate sexuality with sexuality
Yeah,
and
yeah,
power. It's all about establishing power and control.
yeah, because it's like they had no problem. Because it's like when we think about the first homosexual kiss on television, we think about Rejoined, but no one is batting an eye to, there's actually a tribute to your point, Marie. No one is batting an eye to Kira and Ezri sharing a kiss in a Mirror Universe episode, because back in the 90s was just coming out of a time period where if you were bisexual or homosexual,
Coming out.
then you were the bad guy.
Coming out. There was no coming out.
Like,
No,
I remember
you were deeply.
I remember in 70s and 80s films, they casted homosexual and bisexual characters as bad guys. So it's kind
And
of
we still have it, and even now we still have like that bisexuality is being code for there's something wrong with this person.
right.
Mhm.
So they got away with that mirror. Had to have gotten away with that Mirror Universe episode, especially with her wearing leather. Come on, like. And now here's the thing.
I think in intended Kira's case, it's really less leather and more pleather. Honestly, that is very much PVC, guys.
Why is it?
Honestly, and not to mention, I'm sorry. One last thing, then we'll get right back on subject. There was a moment where Garrick did show his bisexual side.
Explain. I need to see this.
This
is becoming a different show. This is becoming a different show.
Let's
get this back to section 21.
Not even at the 20-minute mark, guys. Not even. But the glasses are still on, so we're good.
No.
I have proof. Okay.
Bonnie Chronicles.
I got my thinking cap on. It's my thinking cap. Okay, hold up. I'm ready. Almost there. Almost there.
I'm not even sure what's going on anymore.
Okay, here's what happened. Hello, my name is Makika, and I'm here to explain what has happened with Garrick. I'm gonna tell you how I know that man is a confirmed bisexual character on Deep Space Nine. It's actually quite simple. It was in the mirror. It was in a Mirror Universe episode. It was the second to the last one that we saw, and of course, it was Deep Space Nine. It was when I don't know what kind of alliance they had between the Cardassians and the Klingons and all that stuff. Oh, blase, whatever. And they come and try to retake Terra Nor, because that's what they called that. They didn't call it Deep Space Nine. Well, after they lost the whole thing, Garrick is talking about how he used to please the Intendant. Worf is looking at him saying, "You are not my type." And he's like, "I never said I was." Now, you cannot tell me that was not a confirmed moment. Because if we're going along the lines that despite all the hell and high water the universe goes through, that was not a line of sexuality from Garrick saying, "Look, I don't like you either, but I'm just saying." Like,
so back to section 31.
I'm sorry, we turned this into LGBT track. This is what happens when it's just the three of us. We cut up.
I don't disagree. I really don't. Because we've already established, my theory on Garrick, and I agree with Andrew Robinson, obviously, because the man literally built that into how he his performance as Garrick. But
Exactly.
yeah, like seriously, back to Section 31.
Mhm.
So look, so what we learned several things. So at the end of that particular episode, what happened is we get to see, number one, we get to see a ship, right? So all up until this time, our understanding of Section 31 is again, they operate in cells. There's
Yeah.
no headquarters, right?
Right.
We didn't even know that they had a ship that was dedicated to Section 31 until we saw this particular episode, right? Before we go any further with the dialogue within the ship, how did your imaginations soar when you thought about the fact, number one, this was a Section 31 operative that came in to save the Klingon Empire, right? And by doing so was in effect de facto saving the Federation. So this tells us right then and there that Section 31 is doing some CIA type shit. All right.
I'm gonna do
Involved.
that again, Jermaine. It's CIA type what?
Shit.
That is going to be a ringtone in my phone every time he messages me where it says shit.
Every time Jermaine texts you, that's gonna be it right there.
Like for Jermaine, it's shit. For Marie, is this is my shock face.
Oh, we don't have. Oh man, there's so much we don't have.
We don't have
this,
any of our
we
photos.
need merch for those guys.
No.
Like we need merch. Like we literally need like a
merch.
t-shirt with that on it. Like this is my shocked face. I mean, I'm channeling my inner Daria.
Like, can you we need one of each of us, like William doing this, which by the way, I got this from a show called Pose.
Okay.
And Robin dancing with some Orion slave girls.
Okay.
I'm here for this. Jermaine waking up. Just waking up.
Explain.
Because
Section 31.
You always look creepy.
It's the time of day. Look, I'm a teacher.
I feel like we're about to find out more than we needed to know. So Section 31, back to the ship.
Yeah.
Not that ship.
I keep taking us off subject.
Yeah. So one thing at a time. All right. So we learned that Section 31 had to have sanctioned the assassination of a political leader for a different political entity, right? So they're okay with that, right? You're like, no, I'm not shocked at that at all. But up until that point, we didn't know that Section 31 was capable of that, right? We assumed.
Except we kind of did. And the reason we kind of did is we know that they actually crafted the virus against the founders. Section 31 is actually the origin of that. They infect Odo, giving 0 Fs, if you will, if Odo lives or dies, and send Odo to infect with the hopes that Odo will infect other changelings, which is exactly what happens.
True.
So we know they're capable. So we know they're capable. They blow the price.
I guess in my mind, like it didn't register in that sense only because they didn't really actually die. So, touche. You're quite correct.
So I think we're really kind of. Like running up against the weirdness of the timelines here, because with this being a prequel, it's still very much in dialogue with all of the things that we know from Section 31 from the other shows up to and including Enterprise, right? So again, I wasn't particularly shocked by that. I think the actual concept of Section 31 having a ship is picked up from Into Darkness.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
So the concept of Section 31 having a ship is picked up from Into Darkness. So even though that's technically a different
but
universe,
that's the mirror universe. That's the mirror universe.
I know. But like, again, we're still in dialogue because Alex Kurtzman was, like there's some cross pollination here, right? Because we know Alex Kurtzman was involved with the Abrams verse. So like I think we're starting to see some cross pollination with ideas.
We are. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead on.
Yeah, go just real quick. I actually haven't thought of it like that before, because they did mention all Section 31 all of one time and Into Darkness, which I appreciated that they did, by the way. But
the vengeance belonged to Section 31.
Here's the thing: the interior of the ship, the exterior of the ship looks like it could belong in the same, not the ship configuration, but the same fleet as the type of ship we saw in Discovery. Everything was blue, black, and black. So like,
I mean, yeah, like I think the color palette there has less to do with necessarily being in the same fleet, and more to do with we're just trying to remind you that these people are shady.
Which is Captain Georgiou. Like, I still hope and pray that it's a that she is a temporal agent that hops into every timeline per season, and each season was a different Star Trek show we grew up with. She's in Deep Space Nine, she's in Voyager, when she was on Voyager, she was actually on Relativity. So there's a lot of stuff that could happen, and I'm going off topic again. So anyway,
did you have a lot of coffee before this?
No, I did not. I am living, and
William,
I'm
you don't even realize, like, this is part of the conversation that we've had in the past about Section 31. Just the possibility, like with this particular show, there's a possibility that they could do a lot of that. They might not necessarily go to those specific shows, but with all of those actors who are still around, there's something that they could do there, you know, that could expound upon what happened in their timelines.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Shazad Latif is going to come back for the Section 31 show?
I hope so, because look, hold up, wait a minute, wait a minute. Like, even this right here, now, you know, who he was kissing was like, oh my God, like, what is happening? But just his presence, it just had me, you know.
Yeah, I have to admit, part of me wants to see more Laurel and see more of what. No, because I think one of the things I think. What are you doing?
He's silly.
Look right here. We forget that we saw that image of that patak, and
so okay.
You want to see this? Is this what you want to see?
That's what I want to see.
That's what you want to see.
That's what I want to see.
Can I go off?
Look, I almost cried here, y'all. Like, for real, like I almost cried.
It's so, yeah, that was rough. That was so rough. But I'm going to go off topic for a second, because I think one of the real missed opportunities in Discovery, and I understand why it doesn't show up because they were doing other things, is that we don't really get a sense of this real watershed moment in the Klingon Empire.
Watershed?
What's
I mean,
happening? Like,
Laurel changes the direction entirely.
Oh, because she's the first woman to be chancellor.
Well, it's not even, I mean, it's not even just that. But like, you know, she's literally she's kind of like Rom as Negus. Like, it's such a direct difference.
Like, she's moving them in a different direction.
Because her life was spared at the end of season 1.
Well, yeah.
And also,
I will say this. It was just one line. Worf mentioned, we've had women chancellors. Of course, he was talking about Mother, because she was like, "Don't call me chancellor. That doesn't, that doesn't encapsulate who and what I am to you all. Call me Mother." Right? And
that is straight out of Elizabeth I.
Now, this was after she showed them throwing Tyler's head into fire and holding her baby, the head of her baby in her hand. Like, that was emotional even for the Klingons. Like, can you imagine? You don't remember that?
No, but I really wish we got more of that. And if we do get a Section 31 show, I would really, really love to see this interaction, this in the shadows interaction, because it would be in the shadows. It would necessarily have to be with Laurel and all of these people, because what's great about this particular dynamic is that in Discovery, Section 31 kind of leaves its shady ass roots and moves into a diplomatic back channel situation.
Section 31 should have survived the burn, but they didn't.
I'm seriously, dude. Like, no, sweetheart. They are completely still there.
You sure?
Completely. You just don't know about it because it's Section 31.
Will we ever know? Will we ever know? Will we ever know? Like, that's what I love about Section 31 is because you can put so much onto them and just say, yep, but you never know.
Yeah. And unlike real governments, Section 31 seems at least mildly competent.
I'll tell you.
So the story here is my husband and I were talking about various like before I sat down to film this. We were talking about various conspiracy theories, and we were all talking about how sad we were because we both worked for the government in some capacity, the big one, at one time or another, and we're just sitting there like, I looked at him and said, I'm so disappointed because I really wish our government was as competent as these conspiracy theories make it out to be. It's not. It's not. That should frighten you. By the way,
it doesn't, and the reason it doesn't is because you're human, right? And that's the whole thing behind it. Like the government is going to make mistakes because humans make mistakes. It's about doing your best not to make the same mistake over and over and over again.
And I think this is a really great, that on that note, that is a really great transition into Prodigy, because Prodigy has been dealing with that thematically for about these last 3 episodes. Because we're certainly seeing the continuation of Dal learning how to be a captain and how to be almost a better version of himself. And, Janeway is very much helping them all through it. And we do have at least one major episode about making mistakes and learning from them. So we are at, with that incredibly subtle plug, we are at the 30-minute mark. And so I think it's probably time that we pivot a little and go from Section 31 to Prodigy. And thank you, Jermaine, for making that less awkward than it might otherwise.
We now know why Seven broke up with Chakotay. We now know why.
Because 731. Because Section 31. Section 31 made it happen.
31 agent the whole time. And they had to break up because Chakotay had to take the protostar back to the past just to leave it there to hide it from those bad guys in the Delta Quadrant.
That's it. We are at the 33-minute mark and the glasses are down. I'm going to need you to go back into your closet and think about what you just did. All right, but let's just kind of do like a plot summary of the 3 episodes of Prodigy.
I'm closing my ears for today's one.
I'll let you know. I will let you know.
Okay.
So the first Prodigy episode that we get after the hiatus is called Kobayashi, and the really big emphasis here is that everybody discovers the holodeck. They've never seen it before, and Dal shows up and is basically kind of exploring the capabilities, and Janeway drops this hint that there's the Kobayashi Maru test, which is this major test that all of Starfleet, that you have to take in Starfleet. And Dal just takes up this test and is just like, I'm going to be the very best that has ever bested. Mostly because he wants to prove that he doesn't need anyone and that he doesn't need to go to the Federation, which has been brought up by a bunch of people. Mostly the crew, rather. So, predictably, Dal takes the Kobayashi Maru exam and takes it, and takes it, and takes it, and takes it.
Standard Boimler.
It doesn't go... And all right, it doesn't go nearly as well as he thought because Dal is making a critical error, and he's not listening to the people that he surrounded himself with. He has Commander Spock. He has Odo. He has Lieutenant Uhura. He's got all of these great,
Crusher.
wonderful faces, and I got a little teary-eyed, guys. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. And he's still not able to pass it, and pass this test. And it's and Kid is doing some amazing out of the box thinking in this episode. Like, it, truth be told, he really does. There's a really solid tactical thinker in Dahl. If we could just get him to a point where he stops making the assumption that he's the only person that needs to survive.
And impulse decisions.
And impulse decisions. But also, the kid's like, what, 17? I mean, I'm 40 and I still make impulse buys. So I can't really fault him.
You're not the only one.
And that's really been the arc for Dahl,
I'm
right?
46. So
he's like, I'm right there with you.
I am almost 28.
yeah.
I know it doesn't help with them putting the 20 in the front. She's really sipping that bourbon. Okay, I'm just gonna.
I'm like, we can see my roots.
Robin, I'm sorry. I'm trying to hold our place down, girl, but this is not easy.
So, from there, and you know, there are some other like plot threads, but I kind of want to focus on Dahl, I think, for this particular session. Then we move to First Contact. And yeah, it's a pun. It's a pun. The Prodigy writers are now like channeling, I'm not sure what, like, you know, Seinfeld with a trick of with like a twist of TOS for their titles these days. We meet the person who raised Dahl, and it turns out that it's a female Ferengi daemon named Nandi. I know. We'll get there, I promise. So basically, she cons Dahl into going and making first contact with this species because she wants these magic crystals. I don't know what for. I don't think it matters. But he knows something's up, but he doesn't really tell anybody else because he fundamentally wants to trust Nandi. They go down. They meet the Urskeks from the Dark Crystal, and Nandi steals some crystals. Terrible things happen. Dahl goes to great lengths to retrieve them and make amends to the species, and in the process he learns that Nandi has actually sold him to the diviner to work in the mines.
Well, I do want to say this about that. So he didn't know what she might have been planning. He just knew that she was planning something, and he just couldn't figure out what it was. To the point where, what's the character's name that can read minds?
Zero.
So Zero was like,
Zero's like, something's up. I don't know what, because they can't quite read Dahl effectively. They can get a sense, but they can't read him. But Zero's like, something's up. There's some duplicity involved. My spidey senses are tingling. But fundamentally, I mean, Dahl, I think, even though he knows something's up, I think he really wants to believe better of Nandi because she is, for all intents and purposes, his mother.
Agreed.
Which is one of...
I'm sorry, I didn't want to...
No, Jermaine.
Do you think that his desire for her to do better was really something that the writers were basically letting us know that Dahl is himself changing?
I think the writers have been hitting us on the head with Dahl going through a character arc. So yes, and also no. I think there is something.
That's clear.
I know.
Yes.
But hold on. I think on the one hand that Dahl is more aware of, like, has more of a moral compass is huge.
Okay.
Like, because he's definitely developing that. But I also think that there's something very, very fundamentally just honest about wanting to believe that your mother loves you.
Mm. Mm.
If I may, just slide this one in. When I saw that moment, because I did see that moment. I don't know, right? So let me slide into the DMs real quick. That shut up, Jermaine. It is that it gave us a glimpse because this is like it's a Star Trek show first and a children's show second.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at it through the lens of a children's show, how many teenagers or kids do you know go through hell and high water in their households with their parents? And they want to believe that, and no tea, no shade, and they want to believe that their mom or their dad will do better when really they don't even know that they are in a mentally abusive relationship with that parent. So it's just that I don't know what the mom or the dad could be, but it shows like I still love you, but you got to do better. So that's kind of what I saw when I saw that scene. And of course, he was let down, and then the fact that they tied Chakotay in throughout the episode reminded me of the Scorpion episode in Voyager altogether, where at the end of the day, she still stung him because that's in her nature, even though he wanted to go the Janeway route and believe that she could change when really she's a. I'm not saying Ferengis can't change. Obviously, we have Nog, but
And Quark.
Not just Nog. I was about to say not just Nog. Quark,
Nog, Quark, Rom, movie. You know, the whole family. You know,
So I watched these episodes with my kids, right? And
how did they see it?
And kudos.
It's really interesting because, like, my children, even though they're 3.5, have probably watched far more Deep Space Nine than is necessarily healthy for a 3.5-year-old, or 3.5-year-olds too.
They should. They should.
I know you're shocked to hear that.
It's developing their minds, and their minds are going to be open. Like,
do it. So. I really do. I think so. And they love Quark. They love him. They think Quark is great. They love Odo. They got really, really excited. But, like, they're watching Nandi. And, you know, I have to say that First Contact is possibly my least favorite Prodigy episode to date. Because I feel like First Contact actually, and I wrote about this, but I actually feel like, so if you've read my article, this is going to sound familiar. I feel like First Contact actually underestimates its audience, even as children. Because children, again, are profoundly honest in what they're going to do, right? I mean, your kid is, I mean, a now disgraced comic used to have this bit where, you know, he'd tease these statements out of children.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you know, they would say these profoundly honest things that we as adults find hilarious because, you know, we can't say that anymore, like, because we're supposed to be like members,
of polite society.
Of polite society. Well, so my kids are watching this, and Matt turns to me and he looks at me and he says, "Why Dal go with bad lady?" And for me, that was kind of like an indication that, again, this particular episode is just not subtle because they have seriously hit every creepy wicket with Nandi, and I don't think that's necessary. And I don't think it was necessary.
Well, okay, let's explore that for a second, especially when we think about what William said about teenagers. Just because you know that someone is bad, quote unquote, it doesn't mean that you still won't follow them, because you will.
I'm not arguing. I'm really not arguing with that. That's not actually what I'm thinking. My problem with First Contact is that the story is really simplistic. It's a parable.
So it's predictable.
Yes. And I think it actually falls into a lot of story like lulls that, you know, get tied to like the very special episode or the learning episode of, I mean, maybe you don't remember these, William, but I
do. These after school specials. Is that what you're talking about? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, I mean, and you know, all of a sudden you get like this, this huge hype, and it would be like, on this very special episode of Full House, somebody comes out as gay or whatever, right? Like, because they want to teach this lesson. And I feel like First Contact fell into that same sort of hole. And thus far, Prodigy has been amazing because Prodigy has focused on good storytelling. It's focused on great character development. It's focused on basically just expecting its audience to keep up. And I think we are, and I think the children are as well. And so the problem with Nandi was not that it doesn't make sense for Doll to follow her. It didn't make sense for everybody else. It didn't make sense and it also sort of didn't make sense for Doll either, because clearly he knows something is up.
Can I ask
He does redeem himself by the end of the episode and is really, really freaking clever when he attaches his comm badge to the crystal. Like, that was amazing, and good on Doll.
Mm-hmm. William, you had a question?
I have a question for Marie.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that Trek is famous for doing episodic episodes, especially episodic episodes with rarely, but sometimes 3 subplots. Well, we see in this particular episode that we have 2 subplots, even though this entire show Prodigy is clearly climactic with episodic tendencies. So I hear you explaining the main plot as far as like the Ferengi and the whole thing and the crystal and all that. What are your thoughts on the subplot of Janeway trying to figure out what is going on with why her memory is shot, and the Chakotay scenario? I'm zooming in on who we now know is like, oh my God, this goes back 17 years, because if you think about when the daughter was born, so that's
which we know from Kobayashi, because we get a great kind of flashback to the decision-making process for Gwen's birth.
Right.
I think it's fantastic. I'm really excited about this, because my frustration, and I hate to use frustration, because like I have not been frustrated with Prodigy at all. Like, I am on this train. I'm here for the ride.
So can I ask a question? It's dealing with what William just asked. So has there ever been a time, especially thinking about Voyager, was there ever a time when the Doctor lost his memory?
Plenty.
Because I'm sorry, plenty of times. Yeah. That might give some indication as to what happened.
Her, like,
well, we find out.
I'm sorry.
We sort of find out.
In today's episode.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Do I need
to find out? But since the two of you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil.
No, spoil.
How the hell? I will mute myself. The hell?
Yeah. So, but anyway, like going back to Prodigy, like again, I stand the Protostar and all of them, because it's been an amazing show, and I'm really, really excited that we're getting more of it. So for me, like, the Chakotay business is necessary because we're finally moving the big season arc forward, which has been really hard because we're 4,000 light years from Sketchball Diviner, right?
I'm still trying to figure out where and when they are. Like, did the relativity recruit Chakotay? Where the hell did his uniform come from? How did a Ferengi raise that boy? Because I can understand him crossing quadrants and somehow them being where they are with the Protostar, but how did she raise him?
So how did she raise him so that he had no idea what a transporter was? Did anybody else have that question? Because I sure did.
I'm like, understand.
Like, no, you grew up on a Ferengi Marauder. We know that they have the transporter capability.
I'm telling you.
I love this facial.
Manny just told me.
I'm trying to find a file. Keep talking.
And then by the time in this particular episode, I just had a conversation with Manny that apparently, as of right now, they are somewhere in the Gamma Quadrant.
They are.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, now, we learned that a while ago.
Yeah.
I get that. How did that bitch get there?
Hold on.
Here we go. Jermaine and his maps, man.
That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one.
Because it's like, yeah, I see Maria saying with the main plot as far as like it being too predictable, because I'm sitting here, I'll be honest. To put it into my own words, I was waiting for, okay, can we just get back to the Chakotay part where we can find out what's going on? Yeah. Okay, the crystal, yeah, put it back. Okay, good for you, pound them back. Okay, who the hell are you? And what the hell is that? And what the hell happened to your head? That's what I want to know, bitch.
All right. So just real quick, like some of these places that we talk about are really, really close to the Gamma Quadrant. Well, relatively, when I say really, I'm talking it's relative, right?
Yes.
It's hard to see in this one because it's so small. The other one that I showed, you can see the Alpha and the Beta Quadrant a lot better. So you can see the Alpha and the Beta Quadrant. And when you go back to this one where you see all four, you can kind of get a sense of where all those places
Delta
are.
Quadrant is. Yeah. I mean, I get it because the Delta Quadrant is right next to the Gamma Quadrant, so I guess that makes sense. And then with the wormhole, I can see how big-eared bitch might be there. But
so that makes sense. That's fine. And also, Nadi's clearly the result of some of Rom's reforms, right? Actually, yes, I think William's right. He mentions in the chat that Nadi's the devil. Yes, Jermaine. This is what the devil looks like.
Who's
not
the devil?
President Rillick?
I missed this. Who's the devil? Oh, Nandi is the devil?
And Prodigy.
How is she the devil?
Bitch, I know you lying.
How is she the devil?
She literally sold doll. She sold doll into like.
She did, but she's a typical. I mean, on another level, she's a typical Ferengi.
Yeah.
So look. So this is what I'm assuming. I am assuming. So number one, she's been away, right? She's been away from the Ferengi Alliance for quite some time. Has to have been, right? So she doesn't know how they're evolving. She doesn't know what's going on. What I'm
not sure that's true though.
Like, she's just living her life, her Ferengi life.
Device.
Say that again.
For her to have gotten A, clothing, and B, a Ferenginar, some of Rom, like, I think this is really just kind of a nod to Rom's reforms as Nagus. And then so probably she was, part of that first wave and was all of a sudden like, peace, I'm done, and then hits the Marauder and then goes off.
In the what was it? The Gamma Quadrant? In the Delta Quadrant, we saw Klingons in the Delta Quadrant, right?
Well, I mean, they were the descendants of a long journey.
Didn't matter.
Okay, but that still doesn't excuse the fact that she somehow raised this boy.
Well,
we don't know what planet he's from. We don't know where she picked him up from.
We have established that this child does not even remember or even know what his parents look like.
Right, so, but my point is, there's no way of knowing exactly where she could have picked him up from. Right?
I'm not arguing
that anywhere.
Either. I'm really not arguing that either, because I think we do have we have 17 years at a minimum with which to play here.
I
really like the fact that we're arguing about a cartoon.
I know, right?
I was literally about to say, like Maria's saying, I'm not arguing that. I was literally about to say, well, damn it, I want to argue about something. Look, I don't give a shit. All I know is we're at 53 minutes and the conversation has just gotten good. So it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no. I basically, and the other thing about it is like, the damsel is actually a pretty modern looking Ferengi Marauder. Mm-hmm. So this is not a situation where like she's the descendant of like Ferengi refugees. I don't even know. Like, I don't think that's it. I really think that what happened is she was part of that first wave. She's like, I want pants, I want a ship, and I want off Ferenginar. I think those were the three things. And so like Nandi grabs that, gets her ship, goes through the wormhole, hits the Gamma Quadrant. Maybe somewhere in the Gamma Quadrant, this is where she comes up, where she meets Dal. I don't know. Because we don't, I don't know. Because we know Dal ends up on Tars Lamora in the Delta Quadrant. So how all of that shenanigans took place, I'm really waiting for Prodigy to tell me.
I really need to know because it's just like Deep Space Nine connected all of the story arcs into one show. Prodigy is connecting all of the locations and species into one show. I'm here for it, and it makes the show really interesting because again, I was waiting for that main plot with the crystals and stuff to get out the way, just so I can understand what happened, what went on, where is the EMH at? Can we please find him? please.
We are for sure going to get some answers, because I feel very strongly that that's kind of what we're working toward. Certainly in the next episode. I really dug like the really cute sequence in First Contact where they're playing around with the transporter, but I'm still confused as to how Dal grew up on a Ferengi Marauder and didn't know that was possible.
I mean, he slept under an engine.
He did. Okay, so look.
I mean, yeah, that's like a Firefly reference. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's think about this for a second. Is it possible that it was a Marauder, but it wasn't fully fit? Is it possible that she stole it? Is it possible? You know, like let's and they weren't done doing what they needed to do. I'm
truly willing to accept that she stole it, because like Nandi is almost a caricature of a Ferengi.
I love her.
I really worry about you.
I absolutely, but she's a Ferengi though. Like she's a Ferengi. That's what she's.
I really loved like the interplay with the rules of acquisition. I thought that was great.
Wait, Marie, I love you, but Jermaine, I'm coming for your ass. Now let me look. Okay, this. Let me turn my light on. Hold up.
Y'all, we have just reached a new level. He needs more light.
No. See, I was
get to it.
I'm getting to it.
Jermaine is like,
look, listen to me. You cannot sit here and call President
Rillick.
Yeah, I was gonna call her Pimple Bitch, but you cannot call President Rillick.
I can't take y'all anywhere.
I can. Do you want to know why?
Why?
This is the thing.
Do I need more bourbon for this?
Because in her position, she's the Federation president. No, that's not what we come to understand about a Federation president. Completely different. Completely different. Okay, completely different. Because she's holding a position of power, of influence, representing the Federation.
Let me explain something.
She's representing the Federation. So she is the embodiment of who and what we say we are.
She is a politician. The show ain't even about her.
It don't matter. She the devil.
Look. All I'm saying,
everybody, I'm gonna need you to leave in the comments if you want that on a shirt, because I do.
Listen to me.
She the devil.
Look, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you in the fact that she's the devil. But I am saying it is hypocritical as fuck, and I don't care what YouTube does. To take a life of 90, literally
because you want to know something. I love Dukat.
This show.
I love Dukat.
Everybody, because like all of our viewers,
does exactly what we expect a Kardashian to do.
And wait, hold on. You like Dukat, you like Nandi, but you don't like someone who is a politician. What do you think politicians do, Jermaine?
I don't think they do that.
You don't think?
What is that? What is that?
I think okay. So I think what she's doing is she's undermining so much that's going on. I think that she is sowing doubt, mistrust. That's what I think she that's what I think she does.
From Dukat and Nandi.
It's completely different. She's the Federation. She's the president of the Federation. She's the president of the Federation. That is the difference.
The Federation that no longer exists, Jermaine.
No, it exists. It never stopped existing. It didn't exist in the sense that we were used to, but it never stopped existing.
Okay, so a phoenix came from the ashes. Yada yada hooty hoo. I'm just saying it is still. Look.
There were always members of the Federation. Even in that distant future, 900 years in the future, there were always members of the Federation. No. You can say whatever you want.
Literally,
say whatever you want. There were always members of the Federation, and so yes, everyone who served, they had the highest sense of duty to the Federation. Should have, at least. And I don't think
that's a fair
what...
statement. I think saying should have is definitely a fair statement. The gentleman that we see at both the beginning and the very end of season 3, I think he's included because he is unusual. I loved him. I thought he was fantastic.
I'm sorry, it's not
really
about you. It's William in the chat. I'm sorry. It's not you. Please continue. Please continue.
I really love that we got an image of that, right? Like the ultimate faith in the Federation and the faith that we could all be better. Which is kind of what Janeway is trying very, very hard to instill in the Prodigy crew. And I really kind of love that we're dealing thematically with similar ideas in Prodigy and also in Discovery. I don't need you to stop laughing. Also, your nose ring is glinting, and I'm very distracted by it.
I've been distracted by it for like the last week and a half.
What? I couldn't hear.
Nose ring.
What about it?
It glinted, and like I'm like, ooh, look, shiny. I'm kind of like it's kind of like a laser pointer, and I'm a cat. I'm like,
it is more reflective than Robin's locks. Like more golden, just shiny. It's just like I feel like it's its own self-stealing symbol.
Y'all, we're 1 hour
already. It was just already.
And we have barely scratched the surface on Prodigy, y'all. Like we really have.
I really wanted you to get to today's episode. I really did. I was here for it. William wasn't gonna listen, but I was gonna listen.
I was gonna mute myself. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well, yes, you could.
So okay, mute yourself.
All right, just put it in the.
I'll put it in the chat when somebody will put it in the chat when we're done. So today's episode of Prodigy is, I loved it. Like it just hands down, I really, really loved it. It starts with Janeway kind of trying to moderate the fallout of what happened with the disastrous first contact in First Contact. And she's trying to come up with ways to get the crew to work together and to gel as a crew. Because at this point, they're still not quite sure how they all fit together. They're not sure if they fit together. They're not sure like what, I mean, it's kind of the culmination actually of this idea that we don't know what we're doing. And in fact, Dal actually acknowledges that in this episode, which is a huge move for him, actually. So it starts with Janeway assigning them a holodeck version of the chicken, the fox, and the grain riddle. And she's like, all of you have to figure this out. And like, you know, and Gwen is chasing like Dal has the chicken and he can't keep a hold of it. And then like Rock Talk is playing with the fox. I mean, it's adorable. It is adorable. And it all goes down in flames. Just flames.
Okay. All right. Is she teaching them how to work together? Is that what it is?
That was the plan. Which makes that particular riddle an interesting move, I gotta say, because that's not really a work together kind of a thing. That's more of a one person can figure this nonsense out. But all right, Janeway, I understand. Like, kudos for the attempt. But what ends up happening is the protostar drifts by a tachyon storm. And the problem with the tachyon storm is it interferes with the gravity on the ship. And the gravity is what's keeping the proto-drive and the protostar in the proto-drive from going into breach. So, like, Gwen, you know, Jankum-Pog kind of, like, does his Jankum-Pog thing, and he's just kind of wandering out, and Gwen is looking out morosely because she's going through some stuff, all right? Like, she's going through some shit. Like, okay. Like, she's admiring this tachyon storm, and like, Jankum-Pog's like, what is that? And she's like, it's a tachyon storm, so you better watch your gravity. And he's like, shit! And then he takes off on his little Tellarine legs to the engine room because he's like, oh my god, this is about to explode. Janeway pops into existence like right next to him, and she's like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm trying to fix this. Get it, I'm not Starfleet. Because, you know, far be it for Jankum not to slide the insult in. Gotta love a
True.
Tellarite, y'all. Gotta love a
True.
Tellarite. So anyway, like Jacob basically is like, yeah, no, like I'm gonna need you to go away because I've got to fix this. I've got like 10 minutes to fix this. Ooh, say you were William. And I'm out of bourbon, so I can't even get like do the shot for that. So basically, like while this is going on, a temporal anomaly passes through the protostar, and everybody kind of gets this sense while Jenkem is trying to fix the engine, and the alarm goes off. Jenkem's like, "I've got 10 minutes to fix this. I got this. I got this." And basically the core breaches and the ship's destroyed. And there's this kind of okay moment. Janeway pops back into existence.
Yeah.
And she's trying to figure out like who's going, like what's the hell's going on, and she's doing scans, and she's like, where is everybody? And there's only one life form, and it's Roktok. And so she runs down to Roktok, who is in like a panic. Just a panic. She's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, where have you been? I'm alone. I don't know what to do. Like, Roktok's like 8 years old, guys.
Right.
And so she's in an 8-year-old panic, and it's legit, by the way. Like, it's a legit reason because she's completely isolated and has no idea what's going on. Like, she doesn't even have a MRF. And Janeway notices that even though Roktok is still attached pretty firmly to the deck plating, then like she sees all these various things that are falling, but are really, really slowly. So Janeway figures out from there that everybody on the ship is in a different temporal phase.
Okay.
And so she basically starts trying to pepper Roktok with like, these are things you need to do. You need to find out all of this information. And Roktok gets really just overwhelmed.
Right.
Yeah, and just kind of like goes, I need you to go away. And so like basically Janeway has to go away. She pops into existence with Zero. And Zero has figured out what's going on, and they look at Janeway and they're like, I need you to tell me you were with Roktok, and was that time frame moving faster or slower than mine? Because Zero has figured out that the temporal anomaly has disrupted all of the time frames and shifted everybody into different temporal phases. But time is moving differently in each phase based on your proximity to the warp core breach. So Jenkem's time frame is moving much faster because he was closest. Roktok was the next closest, and so for her, it's moving extremely, extremely slowly. Like it's glacial for her. For Zero, in their particular environment, it's moving faster. So Zero has come up with a solution, which is to create a warp matrix, which apparently looks like an internal combustion engine with maybe a carburetor. Not gonna lie. And they're like, I don't have time to build it, but I can create schematics. And I wish I could do more, but I don't have time. The ship is going to explode before I can build it. So they create the schematics. Janeway, like the ship explodes again. Janeway pops into existence, and this time she's staring at Dal's enormous bed, and Dal is playing video games. And she's like, "Hold up, yo! I need you to stop." And Dal's like, "No!" And she's like, "No, I need you to stop. The ship's about to explode. Like, I need you to fix this." So he has the idea that he's going to use the vehicle replicator because she has the schematics, right, from Zero. He's going to use the vehicle replicator to build this machine. Except there is a giant freaking file that has the entire machine, like the replicator, tied up. Now, flash back a little bit. We've already, like, Nandi has reached out to the Diviner. The Diviner now has the Protostar's coordinates. And they know they can't get to the Protostar, but the Diviner, in true John Noble creepy fashion, says, but there are ways to make our presence felt. Or influence, somewhat. So there's this big file. So Dal can't use the vehicle replicator. It's doing something. Dun dun dun. So basically Janeway is looking at him like, I'm gonna need you to fix it. I'm gonna need you to do this. He's like, I don't have the parts. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to do this. And basically, she says, of all of the characters on the ship, you are the one that has the most ingenuity. So gets to step in, my friend.
Thank you for saying it, because I was just gonna say he seems to be so creative. Like you were just talking about the Kobayashi Maru, like he was just coming up with these ideas so fast, and I was just like, "Dang, dog! Like you're like Kirk level." You know what I'm saying? Like Kirk was just like, "No, I'm gonna break the system." He was just like, "Nah, I'm gonna figure this out." And yeah,
and he does. He does.
He
The
really
thing about
does until he
Kobayashi,
puts his feet up.
it's only him being kind of a dick and like putting his feet on the console that like launches everything to explode to destroy the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have gotten scot-free if he hadn't done that because he figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
God bless Dal. So, and basically but anyway, Janeway looks at Dal and she says, "You've got ingenuity." Gets to step in. So he goes and grabs an arc welder and glasses because apparently as a 17-year-old, this is what he knows how to do. Obviously, I have spent my 40 years making the wrong choices.
You and everyone else.
Right. So like he basically he fixes it, he gets it built, and he goes to the engine room and he tries to connect it, but the problem is he needs a dilithium coupler and he doesn't have one. The only one he has is the wrong size. And so he's sitting there like,
what to do?
I'm out of time.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he feels so dejected and so miserable. And Janeway extends her hand and looks at him and says, "I'm proud of you." And it's I know. I'm tearing up now because it was such an amazingly powerful moment.
I've got to watch it as soon as we get off.
It's such an amazingly powerful moment because Janeway is really giving him back what Nandi took from him. And that's building on what Gwen did at the end of First Contact when she's basically like,
my dad did the same. So
not only that, but it's also like she can't give him Nandi's love back, but what she can do is she can offer him this new family. Exactly. And Janeway's building on that. It's amazing. So ship explodes. I know you're shocked to hear that, but the ship explodes and Janeway pops into existence, and this is really hilarious because it's Murph, and she's like,
wait, Janeway did that?
I mean, it was amazing. Like, it was really fantastic. And Murph's just like, beep. So the ship explodes again.
Of course.
Right. And she finds herself on the bridge with Gwen. And Gwen, she tells Gwen what they need. And Gwen, because they already have... So the temporal mechanics of this episode don't really work. Just kind of ignore that and just let it go. It's Star Trek. Gwen, she sends Gwen on a goose chase to find this dilithium coupler because the machine that Dal created is still there somehow. Gwen can't find it, but because Gwen's time frame is running close to regular time, the vehicle replicator finishes doing what it's doing. And yeah, no, like they're literally... The title of this episode is Time Amok. And it's very obviously playing off Amok Time from the original series. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
they do quite a bit. They've done
that, especially these last couple of episodes for sure. Anyway, so like the vehicle replicator finishes replicating a new Dreadnought. Dreadnought like storms the bridge, Gwen does everything she can to overpower him. He tosses her against a bulkhead, and it doesn't really work out for her. And he's like, I'm just going to go take this ship. I'm not allowed to kill you, even though I think you're the biggest mistake the Diviner has ever made. But I'm not allowed to do that because your dad's not going to let me do that. So sit down. And she's like, we're in warp core breach, right? And he's like, well, you need a dilithium coupler. So he goes to a supply closet that apparently Gwen didn't know existed. I thought it looked like a refrigerator. Whatever. Pulls the dilithium coupler, proceeds to go to the engine room, fixes the thing, and Gwen spaces him. Like, she somehow manages to open an airlock, and it sucks him out with the warp core matrix, which is kind of a problem because they need the warp matrix not to die. So she goes back to the bridge. She sits in the captain's chair, and she drafts a message for Roktak. Ship explodes. Janeway ports back, and one of the things Dreadnought did was he actually uses Chakotay's access code in Chakotay's voice to erase the Janeway program. So Gwen's effectively left alone when she dies. So anyway, ship explodes. Janeway pops up, and she's like, how in the hell did I just pop up? I was deleted. And Roktak looks at her and says, well, I mean, none of your information was ever overwritten in the buffer, so I was actually able to recompile and reprogram your program. It only took me 276 tries. Remember, time is moving glacially for Roktak. Glacially.
Got it.
And Janeway's like, oh my god, we've got to have a warp matrix, and it turns out Roktak has built it.
Got it.
And has the dilithium coupler, and Janeway's looking at her like, why didn't you just fix the ship? And Roktak says, I didn't know where to plug it in. Well, they plug it in, stabilizing the proto drive actually, undoes the separation, the time streams merge, nothing explodes, and everyone's thrilled to see Roktak, and they're impressed because Roktak has taught herself engineering, she's taught herself programming, she's taught herself math, she's taught herself more math. She's been alone for a truly horrific amount of time for an 8-year-old.
270 sometimes. So that's a lot of time to learn.
And that was after she knew enough to make an attempt.
Oh wow. That's what's up.
Think about that for a second. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And while everybody's excited, Gwen comes over and asks Janeway, she's like, so how long was she alone? And Janeway doesn't know. And so Janeway looks at her and says, too long. But Roktak has figured out how to make herself one of the smartest people on the ship. And it's kind of a great moment. And the episode ends with a very Terminator moment because, like, the partially constructed Dreadnought on the floor of the vehicle replicator, like, one of the eyes starts blinking red. And that's how the episode ends.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. Marie, you did an excellent job. You made me laugh. You made me almost cry. You made me do all sorts of emotions.
This episode. Okay, William, come back.
Oh,
there we go.
I'm back.
Yeah,
all right.
I mean, the episode is intense, and the episode is amazing, and really makes up for all of the things that I found wrong with First Contact.
Yeah. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining us on Trekker's Delight. I really
and also spending an extra 20 minutes with us because
yes,
we ran out.
Yes. Yeah. Even though William wasn't paying attention, that's okay. It's okay. He didn't want to. He wanted to see the episode for himself, and I do appreciate that. All right. So thank you all for joining our first live edition of Section 31. We really do appreciate you checking us out. I saw so many of you all logging in. Appreciate it. Stay tuned for further shows. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, share.
Ding!
Do all of that.
Tell your
all of
friends. Bring your family.
Bring them by all means, please. We're at 52 subscribers right now. That's like historic for us, literally.
But most importantly, we really hope you had a great time, and
Yes.
we hope you had even a fraction of the amount of fun that we have making these episodes. So thank you for tuning in. As Jermaine says, like, subscribe, share, and hopefully we'll see you in the future.
Yes. May you have peace and long life. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.